On June 9th, 1972, at the New York Hilton, Elvis Presley made his famous remark, "I'm just an entrepreneur, and I'd rather not say," when asked a politically charged question during a press conference. On the flip side, in today's world, celebrities are expected to make their stance loud and clear. In fact, some get paid millions upon millions to do so when it's election season. A lot of the time, it's part of their job as a public figure. It's almost as if celebrity political views have become synonymous with their careers. But it doesn't end there. You see, not only are their views sought out, but they're held to a certain standard, and if they don't meet that standard or tread very lightly when making their voices heard, then it's held against them. They might even get canceled. Think of their personas as a product, and if the public is angry, they cancel both the person and the product, which also includes the products that they put out into the world, or may have on the conveyor. This was the case for two particular individuals that come to mind, but before I dive into it, I just want to say that this video is not for one side or the other. I don't make my politics my identity. It's not a theme on my channel, so this isn't going to be a political video. The subject matter stems from political division, but what I'm here to talk about is separating the art from the artist. In light of spooky season and my recent collaboration with the Harry Potter exhibition, I'm going to start with the case of the appreciable J.K. Rowling, the woman that gave us the Harry Potter books, consulted on the films, wrote and produced the Fantastic Beasts films, co-created the story for the Cursed Child play, and distributed the licensing rights for the video games fans play, the parks they attend, and the merchandise that they wear. It all started with a series of backlash she began facing as she shared her views when it comes to sex and gender identity. To name one example, she expressed disagreement with changing sex-exclusive language, such as referring to women who could potentially be trans as people who menstruate. She also stood by a woman who lost her job for stating that sex can't be changed, considered it a free speech issue. The theme that I'm personally seeing is that while she is directly disagreeing with the LGBTQ plus community on the trans topic, she's not directly advocating for anything against them, such as violence or discrimination. That's a key thing to know here, as what she's actually doing is standing up for principles surrounding language, policy, and feminist problems. However, that didn't stop activists from calling for the boycott of Hogwarts Legacy when it came out in 2023, as patronizing any products of Harry Potter financially supports its originating creator, whom they deem as transphobic. Obviously, you'll have some people who will indulge because of this, the casuals who don't care enough to let that influence what games they buy, and then you have some who do care about the issue, but are separating the art from the artist. And Harry Potter isn't just one of those things that people like and enjoy. There's so much world building and mythos behind it in every piece of media there is to consume about it, that by the time you've read every book and watched every movie, you become part of that world. It becomes a part of you. I imagine that Harry Potter is to some people what Spider-Man is to me, but as implied by the response J.K. Rowling received for her beliefs, there are some people who believe that you should view the person as part of the product, to the point where if the person is deemed bad, then so is their product. Since I mentioned Spider-Man, I remember when Stan Lee died, there were people accusing him of being this negative stereotype of basically the image that is painted of straight white men in American society, saying that there should be less empathy because after all, he was just another old racist white guy. I personally never saw or heard of Stan Lee being racist or anything, or saying anything racist, but I remember that it didn't make me love Spider-Man any less. But that was some time ago. What I want to know now is what's with this idea that instead of viewing the artist and their art separately, that we should instead feel an obligation to separate ourselves from the art, aka the product, because of the artist. The product is one thing. especially when it takes off and becomes a pop cultural phenomenon like Harry Potter. The person behind the product, while not in any way completely irrelevant, still does not always speak for the product itself or its consumer base, especially when it's basic things that we're all entitled to, such as our opinions. How much are you taking away from a devout Harry Potter fan when you tell them that they should no longer be a fan and refrain from buying the new open world video game? Some might even go as far as to say that if you still support J.K. Rowling through Harry Potter, that it means the two of you essentially balance evenly on the scale, which just leads to more division and is not a solution to the problem that you say there is when you claim that they shouldn't support her. In this case, I believe we should separate the art from the artist and not view consumerism as something that defines where we stand with the producer, and especially not as something that dictates our beliefs. That means if you want a Tesla, buy a Tesla, even if you aren't a fan of Elon Musk. Better yet, let's make this much simpler by asking, how about we all just mind our own business? Even better, don't take something as simple as playing a video game or watching a movie so seriously that you consider it an endorsement of some kind, instead of it being just because they like the movie or want to play the game, and thought nothing of the person who made it. In the other case, I actually found myself on the opposite side of the aisle, believe it or not. You see, for a long time, I was looking forward to seeing The Long Walk in theaters, the latest Stephen King adaptation. I saw the trailer around the time it first came out, and I had a long wait ahead of me. But by the time the wait was finally over, September 10th happened. Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and in response to the Jesse Waters position being that Charlie was not a controversial or polarizing individual, Stephen King falsely accused Charlie of advocating for gay people to be stoned to death. And it had such an effect on me that I immediately lost all personal desires to go see his new movie in theaters. If you didn't agree with Charlie Kirk, that's perfectly fine. There's too many of us on this earth for us to agree on everything, so there's going to be disagreement somewhere, but there's layers to everything. And if you're at that level where you believe something completely radical about someone you disdain, and you didn't even bother to fact check it to see if there's opposing evidence before spouting it out to the world like it's an absolute truth, then I have to imagine that it's because such diligence was placed elsewhere, which is what led to those beliefs being internalized. And I have to admit, I did sincerely lose respect for Stephen King. I was so passionate about the issue at hand and what had happened that I felt like I couldn't support him because of this. Granted, I didn't have any strong opinions on him personally. We have more of a mutual acquaintance. He had a big impact on Caroline Kepnes, gave a positive review of the first Joe Goldberg novel, which might have helped it take off, referenced her and her late father in one of his books, and most recently had her write a story in one of his spin-offs. So my appreciation for him stemmed from his support of her. So it's not like I lost an idol, but I still felt a strong sense of disappointment, and it had an influence on what I was willing to consume. Perhaps this is how some of the people advocating for the boycott of Harry Potter felt. But here's the difference. I may have found myself affected enough to not go see someone's movie, but did I encourage other people to go outside of what they would normally do by not seeing the movie either because I deemed it disrespectful towards Charlie Kirk or the condoning of misinformation? No. And not even encourage people. Did I push that on people? Did I force people to do that? No. I did my thing, and I let other people do their thing. Neither of which had a huge bearing on my life. I just couldn't think about The Long Walk without also thinking about what Stephen King had said, because the movie came out 2 days after the death of Charlie Kirk and the statements that were made. But if the artist does speak, and that has natural effect on the art, which may have been the case for everyone else who decided not to see the movie, then so be it. The point is, it's up to us if we want to separate the art from the artist or separate ourselves from the art because of the artist. But we're not obligated to do either or, nor can we force our approach on others. Listen to this conversation that I had with the architectural designer of the Harry Potter exposition. what is your opinion on like separating the art from the artist? Do you think that's something that people like? What's your thought on that concept in general?
It has nothing to do with Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
Or it has some.
Yeah. Basically, J.K. Rowling has been in controversies, and one time they tried. Some fans tried to boycott a Harry Potter video game that was coming out.
Yeah.
Because she's conservative or something. I don't know. But recently, I was gonna see The Long Walk, this new Stephen King movie.
Yeah.
But then Stephen King said something about someone who had died recently, and it was incorrect. Like,
I haven't heard of this though.
yeah. So, I guess basically I'm asking, do you think people should have to separate the art from the artist if they don't want to?
I don't think so personally, because my background is architecture, and even though architecture is still related to the art, back in the old day, I'm talking about like a few thousand years ago, there was no such thing called architect. There are artists that design all this building. So that's why I said that everything that you see here, the creation of all these set pieces, it always relate back to the art. I mean, like the team of people that created all these beautiful sets, and then they are just a piece of art. Yeah. So I to answer your question, the answer is no. They should stay with the artist. Yeah.
So are you saying focus on the arts as well as the artist?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
The actress who plays Shuri in Black Panther's little sister.
Yeah.
I think her name is Letitia Wright. She basically said that she disagrees with vaccines. So then people tried to say, cancel the next Black Panther film, because it's going to have her as Black Panther. So it's like I think people don't know how to appreciate art regardless of who the artist is.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that we should always respect the artist because they gave us the art.
Exactly.
But I also think that we should never let the artist tell us. We should never let the artist, the actions or words of the artist, discourage us from appreciating good art.
Exactly. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that when I design something, I did not ask the architect. I said, what do you think? Instead, I walk to maybe someone like you or someone who as a carpenter. I said, hey, what do you think about this design? I always does that, because I believe in the creativity. It's come from the belief, the personal belief. It's not like from your background.
Exactly.
Because back in the old day, the artists, they all have their belief. That's why they created such a wonderful, beautiful art in the world. And the belief is very important.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm glad I had this conversation because you're an architecture and that's a form of art.
Yeah.
So you're like the perfect person to talk about it as an artist.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
No worries, man. Thank you. Yeah, easy peasy.
So you know what? I think I will eventually get around to watching The Long Walk. I'll also continue to rewatch the Harry Potter films, since the exhibition inspired me to pick up where I left off with the fandom. In spite of what Stephen King said, in spite of what J.K. Rowling has said, regardless of what their individual beliefs are. And I encourage everyone watching this video to just do you. Consume whatever medium that you wish, the producer of which does not have to have any influence. Sometimes they might, depending on the context and how much that resonates with you. And that's okay. But the important thing is that you leave it up to you to decide what approach you want to take. Whether that's respect the art and the artist, appreciate the art but not the artist, or just treat the two as completely separate, as artists or people that will continue to be human beings at the end of the day, while the art is just a product that they just so happen to put out into the world, which we all have the freedom to enjoy regardless, no matter what.